Hey guys, Magnus here, bringing you another video. This one we're going to be talking about the recent Simpsons episode, and of course we're going to be talking about the recent Tapped Out tie-in. Now of course, The Simpsons did, I have this episode called 22 for 30, and of course Tapped Out did an episode tie-in as they usually do. Now I kind of want to make this a regular series when, if they do episode tie-ins, I want to go through all the stuff they sort of missed, or the stuff they could have potentially added to make the episode tie-in really to make it better. Because ever since like the fleeing the season premiere one, I think episode tie-ins could be really good. They can be like almost like mini events, if the creators actually wanted to. And I think this episode, there was a few things they could have added, and there was a few things that I think that would have been really, really nice and touching to do to tie it back into this episode. Of course, we probably would have had to make it longer than a week. Now, obviously, what we got was Anger Watkins, and we got a basketball court, a big squishy, and like his like podium, I guess, and they're not terrible things. I think Anger himself wasn't exactly a massive character. He was only really there to add like a bit of humor here and there throughout the thing. I mean, the episode overall was okay. I don't think it was amazing, but I mean, I didn't think it was the worst episode they've ever had. But so yeah, so let's just go through some characters that I think they can add. Of course, I want to just say spoilers, I guess, for this episode. There are some few kind of, I don't know if, I mean, it is Simpsons, so it's not like any characters died, but I'll say the spoilers anyway. But so first of all, in terms of characters, I think they should add, personally I think they could have added some of the team. Now, of course, there is the team in Springfield Elementary, and of course Bart is the captain. Now, first of all, I just want to mention possibly a costume for Bart. I mean, it would have been okay. I wouldn't have been so bothered, because there would have been a lot of little animations they could have done. You know, I like costumes that have loads of animations. If the costume itself isn't that interesting, at least make the animations interesting, and I think it could work. So I mean, they could have. I mean, but I'm not really too bothered. I don't really care so much about the costume. But these are 4 characters that really could have done well if they added them. So Lewis, Richard, Wendell, and Jaffe. I think it's Jaffe. These 4 kids. Now, of course, they're on the team as well. Now, they could have thrown them in there somewhere. They could have. I know the four weren't really that big. They were just on the team, and that was like really all it was. They were just the only thing was they were on the team. Now, but I think they could have done something. They definitely could have been something they could have done with them. They could have added them in the game, because of course they're 4 like really weird. All 4 of them. It's really weird. Like, it's kind of like where do we add these 4 characters? Now, I think Christmas was probably the best shot, but I mean they could have done them here, or maybe just one of them, just to sort of like do like a rival. But I know they weren't really prominent figures in the episode, so maybe that was the reason why. Next up is Stephen Curry, and of course this is the real life basketballer. Of course he is a real life person, so he would be a guest star. And you know, they don't really tend to add very many. The only one we really have other than Matt Groening is Stephen Hawking, and yeah, I mean, maybe we could have got Stephen Curry. I don't know what like the rights and stuff like that. I don't really know what it really. I don't think there is that many when it comes to real life people. I think they're just doing it. I don't know. I feel like Tapped Out are just doing it because they don't want to piss anyone off or something. But I don't know. But yeah, they could have had Stephen Curry. Of course, he had an appearance in this episode, but it was only brief anyway. Then we have Eddie Muntz, and this is one I definitely think, out of all the characters here, I think Eddie Muntz would have been a really nice one to actually throw in here, because they did a few jokes throughout the episode talking about the fact that Nelson's father's gone, and I think it was like he was like shooting a hoop. He was like I don't know, like. I forgot the joke, but my point was he was scoring, and then they were making fun of the fact that his dad's gone. I think it's really horrible humour. And there was like the net thing as well. They talked about the net, like, and then Nelson goes, like my mother wears when she's all like selling her body or something like that. It's so dark, the stuff with Nelson. But I think the Eddie Muntz character would have been really nice, because what we find out right at the end of the episode, I guess it's kind of a spoiler, is that he actually is the guy who's narrating this entire episode. Of course, it's not really a normal episode. It's like kind of like a story episode where it plays out with interviews and stuff like that. And of course, Eddie actually, it turns out to be the guy who is narrating the whole thing. And I think it was a really nice little twist at the end, so to speak. And I think it would have been beautiful if they threw him in there. Actually threw him in there and then did the whole thing with him and Nelson, because that's what they touched on in the episode. And it would have been nice if they did the whole thing where he leaves, and of course, but then he leaves again. And that would have been a nice storyline, a nice like kind of emotional storyline that they could have done in Tapped Out. And I actually would have really enjoyed that. And they could have tied it in with this episode, and it still would have been relevant. But oh well, I think that's an opportunity missed personally on their part, but whatever. And then the final character, and not the final character, but one of the next character is actually Bob Johnson. Now this is like a little gag where Lisa says like talks about dancing or whatever. Basically he's a dance instructor or something like that, or a rodeo instructor. Like it was like a type of dance, but I forget the type of dance. But he was the instructor in the school, and of course then he got fired, and now he became homeless. But it was like a little tiny gag. I mean, they could have thrown him in there, but to be honest, his character was as big as Anger Watkins' character. Anger Watkins wasn't really that much more major than he was, so I mean they could have thrown him in there. But that's just a few characters, and the only other character I can think of is Fit Fat Tony, or New Fat Tony, whatever the hell you want to call him. Basically Fat Tony's cousin, because of course we got Fat Tony in the game. We don't actually have Fit Fat Tony, which is, they are two different characters, although they look the same. I'm not really too bothered all that much, but I mean it would be kind of cool if we got a new Fat Tony, I guess, because at the minute the one that we have in the game is the dead one. But I mean I'm really not that bothered. It wouldn't really concern me if they didn't add him, but I just thought I'd throw it in there just to say they could have thrown in Fit Fat Tony, because of course he has quite a prominent what's the word? Like he's quite he does a lot in this episode. You know, he's a kind of a main character in this episode. And in terms of buildings, there was literally only one building. So, to be honest, I don't know, this update the episode tie-in didn't give us any buildings. And I was thinking, maybe it's just because there is literally no buildings. But there is one, and that's Le Coffee Nostra. This building's never appeared before in The Simpsons. This is the first time it's ever appeared. And of course, it's a thing. I think it's like a mafia hotspot, I guess. Well, it's somewhere Johnny Tightlips hangs. So they could have thrown it in there anyway, just as an extra building, like for donuts. It would have been kind of cool, and they could have done some stuff with Johnny Tightlips, who goes there. But whatever. I mean, they don't have to give us to us. It's like just an extra thing. But I mean, that's something they definitely could have missed. I would have been cool to get a building, even if it was just this and it was donuts. I would have been happy enough with it. But apparently they didn't want to add it. Well, whatever. And then here's a few decorations. There's quite a few little decorations they could have given us. So of course here we have the assembly on B's. Everyone gets a C stage. They could have just thrown that in there as well. Of course, it's where the whole thing where Bart which leads Bart to get the detention, which of course. So he heightens his basketball skills. We have this. This is this truck that Raphael drives, or the wise guy drives. Which delivers Bart a TV and keeps delivering Bart loads of TVs. So that's a kind of cool one they could have thrown in there. We have the Mafia car. Now this car is like the Mafia car that Fat Tony obviously buys after all the money he gets from profiting on Bart's basketball career. This is the car he gets, and also this is a boat he gets as well. So these two things here, the car and the boat, they could have given either of those to us as well. Of course, the boat is also attached to the end of this car, so I don't know if they wanted to throw it in the water or they could throw it as like attach onto the car. Either one really. But yeah, that's kind of cool. There's two things there that they could have given us. I mean, they're not really that amazing, but I think it would be kind of cool just to get some more little cars. So that's why I wouldn't have been so bothered if they just gave us one little car on its own. And this is something I think that would be, is a kind of a unique and really cool decoration, is the plasma TV, or the TV fort that Bart makes in his back garden after all the TVs he gets given. I think that's kind of cool. They could have thrown that in there as well. I think that would have been a nice decoration, a cooler one than the squishy one anyway. The giant squishy is kind of cool as well, I guess, but that would have been nice as well, you know, mixing it with the box fort and stuff. But I guess it is kind of like out of place, because it's like weird. It doesn't really look like it would be in place. And the final thing is just a sign that says next 2 miles of highway disgraced by Bart Simpson. So it's just another little you know, funny little sign they could have given us. And to be honest, that's it. That's all. I know it's not much. It's not much. And I think, to be honest, this event, although I like the episode times to be bigger and better, I think for the most part they added. But I'm really disappointed they didn't do the added months thing, because I think it would have worked out pretty well. I know they would have taken it away from the whole basketball storyline for a bit, but I think it would have been nice. It would have been a nice little story. Maybe they could have given us Anger Watkins for free, and then they give us Eddie Munts for donuts. Or actually no, I think they're probably the opposite way around. Yeah, Anger Watkins for donuts, and giving us Eddie Munts for free. Because I think it would have been a really, really nice story that they could have tied in. So I think that's probably the only missed opportunity. I'm not so bothered that they didn't add like Wendell and all that, and like the basketball team. I mean, to be honest, they're sort of like not really that big of a, they don't really have that big of a thing in this episode anyway, so I think that's fair enough. But again, I just think that they could have added Mr. Muntz or Eddie Muntz. But anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching. Please comment, rate, subscribe. Tell me your thoughts on what you think out of all this stuff I've shown. Do you think all of it should have been added, or do you think just give me like a building, or do you think that one building should have been added? I think that one building should have been added at least as well. But yeah, just tell me your thoughts on the episode if you've watched it. I think it was okay. I mean, it wasn't amazing, but I thought it was decent. And yeah, thanks for watching, and please comment, subscribe, and I'll see you next video. Goodbye.